or call the number 0706 777 9435 0706 777 9435. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
Good morning, Nigeria. It's Thursday, the 14th day in the month of August 2025, and you are watching Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. I am Pat Aito.
And I am Samson Balogun. The weekend is in sight, but the stories shaping our nation aren't slowing down. We are here to fuel your morning with facts, sharp analysis, and the pulse of Nigeria. And
now to the gist, already sparking conversation, Fuji music legend Kwamwan has been appointed to champion proper airport security conduct across Nigeria.
That's interesting. It's a move that blends celebrity influence with public awareness. But can an icon's voice really change the culture of airport behavior and compliance? We'll explore the story and its wider implications.
And right after this gist, we'll move into daybreak weather reports and news, bringing you the latest updates from across Nigeria and around the world.
Then it's newspaper headlines and analysis where we break down what's making the front pages and why it matters.
And at 8 o'clock, we'll dive into big story, broken ballot box, the fight for electoral integrity.
Well, we'll be joined by Dr. Kunle Okola, who is a political analyst. And of course, Plato will also be joining us on the show. And governance advocates to dissect the challenges of safeguarding Nigeria's election, from vote buying to ballot snatching, and explore whether reforms can truly fix the cracks in our democratic process.
And to wrap things up, we add into Trend Watch, where we come through social media for the artists' updates and viral conversations.
And that's right, from the arrival also to the corridors of power and even the trending hashtags. We have got you covered this morning.
And stay tuned. This is Daybreak Live, where politics meets the people and every conversation counts. Also know that you can follow us across our social media platforms, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Cast. And of course, you can watch us live on www.dominion.org.nj. Good morning, Samson.
Good morning to you, Pat.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you again, too. Today's Thursday anyway. So good to see you on a Thursday.
Throwback Thursday.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. You know, there are interesting stories, going around. We'll talk about Kwamwan being appointed as,
Kwam1 and Kwam2.
I mean, just for now.
For now, we'll dive into Kwam1.
But then we'll see what happens with, the other lady. But of course, there are questions about how credible it is, the way we appoint people into positions in Nigeria. Take, for example, at the point Naira Marley was appointed an ambassador to, I think, NDLEA at the time, after he was arrested over drug and other things like that. So people are beginning to ask questions. So if someone who has done something bad is appointed an ambassador, so what happens to that person that hasn't done anything wrong, that just has the character in him, and you know, you are not even looking in that direction? I mean,
well, I feel like bad behavior is getting a reward in this our society, and the level of impunity is getting higher day by day. Saying what Kwame Wan did at the airport, and of course coming to tender a
unreserved apology.
And afterwards, you see him. You are actually appointing him as a security protocol, an ambassador to security protocol at
proper security protocol at the airport.
What does he know about security?
No, he's just going to be an ambassador. It doesn't have to be actively involved.
You see, whatever it is, before you make somebody an ambassador, you must have a knowledge of that portfolio you're going to handle. What does he know about it? If he's security conscious, what he displayed at the airport shouldn't have happened. And this thing is laughable. What would other countries be talking about Nigeria? Nigeria is just a common ground that you can do anything and you just get away with it. I think this is just a political gimmick.
You see, I think I also have this perception that the other lady, Emansen, yeah, was actually charges were dropped. She was released from jail. I feel that was being done because Kwame Wan was to go scot-free. Because if she was prosecuted, people will call for Kwame Wan's prosecution.
People have actually been calling
people
for
have been saying that, look, if you can put this lady in jail, where is Kwame Wan? I mean, because he's popular, because he has been around for a long time. Kwame Wan shouldn't
have left that place without you taking him to...
I mean, he should have been arrested in the first place. But the truth of the matter is, as things unfold, we'll see more things. People are dropping comments already, saying we cannot continue to reward, you know, this kind of attitude in our society. So what are we preaching? What would the next generation come and say about us? Because as it stands, the country seems to be rewarding people who really do not care, people who have some bad characters, and then they hide under the fact that, oh, it was a mistake. I mean, these are things that are not expected of a celebrity, of a man of his age, that he shouldn't have done in the first place. But then because someone else did something similar, not the same thing, but at least something similar, that person was to be charged. It was, in fact, she was, you know, arrested and, you know, sent to jail, remanded in prison. And then all of a sudden, charges were dropped and then released from jail because they were calling for the other person's head too.
Well, some say, I say this as well as I see it as a distractions, because there are lots of burning issues in the country, and you having this back and forth, airport to the airport. Tomorrow, another thing will spring up, and we will still talk about it till we forget the issue on ground, the hardship we're facing as Nigerians, the issue here and there, politics playing out in Nigeria, and you just bring something that does not irrelevant. You bring it to the table of Nigerians you want them to deal with.
You know, I sincerely feel that it's getting to a stage where people are beginning to forget the current situation, and I don't want to believe this is a deliberate attempt to make people, you know, shift their attention from what truly matters.
Well, to you don't, but me, I always believe it's a deliberate attempt.
I don't want to believe so, but if it's now the situation, I think we are getting it all wrong in Nigeria, because for everything that happens at this time is more or less like a seed being sowed for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. We don't even know. It might be 10, 20 years. But these are grave mistakes being made by the country, by the people who live in it, and of course by the people who rule. Because if we leave the actual conversations unattended to, what will happen when we actually have to face it head on? And it's happening already. There was a time when fuel subsidy was a topic. Oh, will we remove fuel subsidy? Will we not remove fuel subsidy? How are we going to remove it? Is it gradual? Is it by percentage? And then all of a sudden, the new president came and it was removed. It was a conversation that should have been had a long time ago. And there should have been a process to go through it. But of course, we shifted our attention to something less important, and then we left that unattended to. And all of a sudden, the president came on board and said, look, we have to do this now, and he removed it. Well, even though it brought hardship to the people, but it was, you know, it was more or less like a step taken for the greater good of the country, even though so many people will not understand, even though it is going to harm so many people, as it is doing now. But the truth of the matter is, whether Nigeria likes it or not, they would have removed fuel subsidy. But the time is when
and how.
But then, we shifted our attention, just like we are doing now, to something irrelevant. And I do know that there are still more topics to be discussed. For us, subsidy is to be removed on par. People are not talking about that. It's to be removed on so many other things.
Has to be removed, or it has been removed?
I'm just saying, if it has been removed
it
or
has,
not.
and that's why we are paying heavily.
Let's not
when it comes to electricity.
Let's not be direct about it anyway. I know the Minister of Power has a lot of explanations to do, which is Adebayo Adelabu. He has a lot of explanations to do as regards that band A, band B, band C. Where exactly is band A now and band C? What have they achieved with you know, the segregation of bands? We'll get to that actually. But the truth of the matter is, a time is coming that Nigerians will have to face their issues head on. And if they are not doing it now, I don't know where they will do it.
Well, it shows that Nigerians are gullible with so many things happening around, and where we survive, where we hardly eat well, where we hardly have 3 squares meal, and this is coming to our table, and we're dealing with it back and forth.
We'll just have to deal with it.
We have to deal with it, but then we'll need to deal with something that is very serious and crucial to our life.
Yes, all right, let's take a quick break, and when we return, we'll take weather report this morning. We'll be back after this time out. Welcome back from that short break. It is time to take weather report across the country this morning, and going straight to Abeokuta this morning in Ogun State. It is expected to be around 24 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, and during the day it's expected to be 29 degrees Celsius, and of course at night 23 degrees Celsius, and the highs will be vary between that time frame, and of course by evening 24 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy by evening, and chances of rain is about 4%, and it's going to be really cloudy in Abeokuta today. Yeah. Well,
away from Abeokuta, we head straight to Lagos, and Lagos is this morning to be 25 degrees Celsius, and of course light rain is expected in Lagos. And afternoon we have 26 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy, and evening to be 25 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy. That's chances of that is 29%, and overnight 25%, mostly cloudy as well, and that's on the 11% scale.
And then going straight to the FCT, Federal Capital Territory in Abuja this morning. Temperature is expected to hover around 23 degrees Celsius. Here, during the day is expected to be around 26, at night around 21 degrees Celsius. And maybe around the evening, there is expected to be light showers, if there is going to be any. And it's going to be really mostly cloudy, 15% chance of being cloudy. Wind is expected to be around 10 kilometers per hour in Abuja, and dew should be 22 degrees Celsius, and humidity is 92%. So if you're in Abuja, you have to really be prepared for this. Yeah.
Well, away from Abuja and Kwara, that's a lorry morning. This morning to be 24 degrees Celsius, and of course mostly cloudy in the morning, afternoon, and evening. That's 24 degrees Celsius, 29 degrees Celsius, and overnight is 23 degrees Celsius, and that will be cloudy. And chances of that is 3%. Of course, Ilorin is always a sunny. It's always sunny. So of course, yeah. Well, just be expecting a light shower of rain there.
And in Ekiti State this morning, in Ekiti, weather is expected to be around 23 degrees Celsius, and it's going to be somehow cloudy. And in the morning, 22 degrees Celsius, afternoon 24 degrees, and in the evening 22, and overnight it's expected to be 21 degrees Celsius. 4% chances of cloudy environment right there, and wind is expected to be around 8 kilometers per hour, and the dew point is 21 degrees Celsius. So the ice is should be hovering between 20 degrees Celsius in Abuja, and the pressure should be 10115.9 mega. All right, visibility is unlimited, not determined yet, and of course if you are in Ekiti, you have to be prepared for this morning. Yeah.
And away from Ekiti, we head straight to Oshogbo, that's in Osun State. And this morning it will be cloudy. Afternoon, 27 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy as well. And evening, 23 degrees Celsius, cloudy as well. And the chances is still not so clear. And of course, overnight it will be 22 degrees Celsius and cloudy, and 11%.
All right, moving straight to Ibadan this morning. So if you are in Ibadan, temperature is expected to be around 24 degrees Celsius. And in the morning, 24. In the afternoon, around 28 degrees Celsius. So there is expected to be a little bit sunny in the afternoon. And by evening, weather is expected to drop back to 24 degrees Celsius. And overnight, it should be around 23 degrees Celsius according to NIMET. And wind is expected to be around 6 kilometers per hour. And the dew point is around 23 degrees Celsius, and humidity is expected to be at 92%. So if you are in Ibadan, visibility is expected to be around 14.8 kilometers. And if you are in Ibadan, you have to, be prepared for this. And maybe if there's going to be expected showers, go.
It's a bit light.
Yeah, your umbrella is going to be necessary. You have to keep it handy around there. I think that's all we have on weather report this morning. We say thank you for joining us. Let's go on a quick break. And when we return, we take the news. We'll be back.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Good morning and welcome to Daybreak News on Dominion Television. I am Pat Aito. President Bola Tinubu has said that Nigerians have no reason to be poor. The president made the statement at the 8th expanded National MSME Clinic in Calabar as he reiterating his administration's commitment to promoting the growth of micro, small and medium enterprises in the country. Represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, he said the country had boundless human and natural resources at its disposal. The president said Cross River as a state had the capacity to grow almost every crop because of its fertile land. Tinubu further said that upon assumption of office, his government guaranteed access to capital and pledged to support ventures that would redefine the future of work, skills and industry. The federal government says it will engage Fuji maestro Osio Ayinde Marshall, better known as Kwamwan, as an ambassador for airport security protocol after he attempted to block a moving aircraft at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. The Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority had imposed an indefinite flight ban and filed a criminal complaint against him. However, in a statement, the aviation minister, Festus Keyamo, announced a review of the sanctions, citing appeals from well-meaning individuals and the singer's public show of remorse. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, has firmly denied allegations that he constructed a luxury mansion within 2 years of assuming office, describing the claims as false, mischievous, and a calculated attempt to tarnish his image. The allegations surfaced in the viral video published by an online media outlet, which accused the Minister of flaunting an extravagant lifestyle allegedly funded through corrupt means. The video claimed that the mansion was built during his ministerial tenure and implied misuse of public funds. In a statement released by his media aide, Femi Awogboro, said Adelabu clarified that the building project in question began in November 2021 and was completed in August 2023. 5 candidates contesting the forthcoming by-election in Ibadan North Federal Constituency have signed a peace accord. The peace accord was signed at the Oyo State headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission. The event was attended by leaders of the political parties, security chiefs and other stakeholders. The by-election is billed to take place on Saturday, the 16th of August 2025, to fill the vacant position created as a result of the demise of the last occupant of the seat, Honorable Olaide Akinremi. Women in Oyo State have been encouraged to take part in the electoral process and advocate for their interest in governors. The call was made during the One Woman, One Vote sensitization program organized by the Oyo State government, which was held at the Local Government Service Commission Staff Training Hall, State Secretariat Ibadan. Speaking at the event, the Oyo State Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Inclusion, Toyin Balogun, described the One Woman, One Vote sensitization campaign as more than just a call to action, rather a movement dedicated to empowering women to claim their rightful place in the electoral process. The week-long World Shango Festival 2025 continued at the historic Duro Ladipo compound, Ibadan, with a public symposium chaired by the Oyo State Commissioner for Culture and Tourism, Dr. Wasiu Olatunbosu. Olatunbosu highlighted the state's commitment to culture, tradition, and the creative economy, hinting at plans to unveil an anthem for cultural event next year. He noted that the tourist inflow has risen from about 2,000 to over 18,000. Guest speakers, including Caroline Ladipo, wife of the late Duro Ladipo, praised his theoretical work that brought Yoruba heritage to life. With UNESCO's 2023 recognition of the festival as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity, the 2025 editions aim to further showcase Oyo's heritage globally. The Oyo State government has unveiled a state government reserved area at Samanda, naming it after the late Honorable Olaide Akinremi, popularly known as Jagaban. The executive governor of Oyo State, Engineer Seyi Makinde, represented by the deputy governor, Barrister Bayo Lawal, in a speech said that the naming of the edifice after Akinremi is coming as a way to immortalize the name and impact of the deceased, stressing that the environment is conducive and well secured for its soon-to-be occupant. Speaking at the event, the chairman of the Ibadan North Local Government Federal Constituency, Honorable Oluwaseun Olufade, commended the Oyo State Government for fulfilling its promise on naming the edifice after the deceased, admonishing political office holders to be good reputation and learn from the exemplary life of late Honorable Akinremi. Friends and family of the deceased also used the avenue to reflect on the life well spent by him, stating that the milestone named after him is well deserved. And now to Sokoto, where former Governor of Sokoto State, Senator Aminu Tambuwal, has been released on bail as the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, counted the African Democratic Congress, ADC, and People's Democratic Party, PDP, over his arrest on alleged financial matters. The former governor had been released on administrative bail by the commission. It was released to enable the commission perfect its case, pending the time it will be arraigned in court. Both ADC and the PDP had accused the EFCC of targeting public political figures in the opposition's camp. The development was sequel to the arrest of Tambuwal and the reports that some opposition leaders are being investigated by the commission. And on business, Dangote Petroleum Refinery has announced a reduction in the former depot price of premium motor spirit, also known as petrol, by 13 Naira from 850 Naira to 820 Naira per litre. A statement signed by the refinery chief branding and communication officer Anthony Chiejina, who announced the gantry price reduction in a statement, said the change took effect from Tuesday, the 12th of August 2025. According to the statement, the move was part of the refinery's unwavering commitment to national development, assuring the public of a consistent and uninterrupted supply of petroleum product. While the Naira has continued to depreciate against the dollar at the official foreign exchange market for the second consecutive time this week, the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN exchange rate data showed that the country's currency, the Naira, closed at the 1,537.9 Naira against the dollar, up from the 1,535.92 Naira traded on Monday. This showed that the Naira further weakened by 1.7 Naira against the dollar on a day-to-day basis. Meanwhile, at the black markets, the Naira remained flat at 1,570 Naira per dollar, the same rate recorded on Monday. And in sport, Nigeria's men's basketball team, the Tigers, have opened the 2025 FIBA AfroBasket campaign in Luanda with a mission to reclaim the continental title that last won in a decade ago, with a glittering record that includes gold in 2015, silver medals and 3 bronzes. The Tigers remain one of the Africa's basketball powerhouses. National Sports Commission Director General Bukola Olokpade has challenged the team to make a statement from day one. Always know that you can visit our website on www.dominion.org.ng to listen to us live and interact with us. Follow us across our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominioncast. And that is the Direct News. Thank you so much for watching. Good morning. I am Pat Aito.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
All right, welcome back to newspaper headlines and analysis on the program Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. This is where we tell you or we let you know what is happening in most of our dailies. Of course, I begin this one. PDP unveils zoning panel. Dispels Jonathan Obi talks, and a rider there. PDP eyes new aspirants. APC mocks opposition and predicts defeat for 2027 candidates. And that's in the Punch newspaper. That's talking about 2027 presidency. And away from that, we have at the top corner of the paper, at the top part of the paper, we have this. Obasanjo Library accuses EFCC of targeting former president, demand 3.5 billion naira damages. And that's on page 14 of the paper. And we have decided, we have Tinubu orders FIRS Customs to reveal revenue deductions. And that's on page 20 of the same paper. And we have this one, 2025 budget. Ministries in dilemma as Accountant General suspends fund request. That's on page 19 of the same paper. Down below the paper, we have fuel distribution controversy. Dangote restores marketers amid mounting pressure. And that's on page 20 of the paper. Beside it, we have pilot spill over Kwamwan's aviation ambassadorship. And that's on page 18 of the paper as well. And lastly, from the Punch, we have Mahmouda, terror group leader captured in Niger, moved to Abuja. That's on page 2 of the paper. That's the Punch. Away from the Punch, we have straight to the Nigerian News Direct. News Direct is coming with this big banner. Tinubu bans creation of new federal private universities for 7 years, and we have a rider as minister laments poor quality of infrastructure molds improved quality of education, and that's on page 12 of the Nigerian News Direct. And beside it, we have down below it, we have mixed reactions as NCAA withdraws charges against Kwamwan Amansi and names Kwamwan ambassador, and that's on page 12 of the paper. And we'll move to the top part of the Nigerian News Direct. Sanwo-Olu calls for a national building code to end collapse tragedies. And that's on page 13 of the paper. And beside it, we have EFCC raid, politically motivated. OOPL alleges files for 3.5 billion naira damages. And we move down a bit. We have Tinubu departs Abuja for investors meeting in Japan, Brazil, and that's on page 12. And lastly, from the Nigeria News Direct, we have this one: solid mineral sectors not for opportunists but investors, Alake. And with the rider, as Minister moves to revoke 1,000 mining licenses. You can read more on page 7 of the Nigeria News Direct. Away from the Nigeria News Direct, we head straight to Daily Trust. And Daily Trust is coming with us one Tinubu on third visit to Brazil in 9 months. We actually want to know what that visitation is all about. Well, you want to know, like I want to know, that's on page 3 and 4 of the Daily Trust. And up the paper, we have marketers to Ojulari fix Port Harcourt refinery or resign. A lot of speculations here. We have, and that's on page 2 of the Daily Trust. We have poverty, hunger driving Sokoto children out of school. And that's on page 5 of the Daily Trust. And beside it, we have federal government funding 2024 capital projects with 2025 revenue. Director General and budget is talking. And down below it, we have, after creating many tertiary institutions, federal government places 7-year ban. That's on page 5 of the Daily Trust. Down below, after airport incidents, Kwamwan, a man sent to work as volunteer ambassadors. That's Kayamo. Page 40 of the Daily Trust. And federal government to construct bus terminals with 142 billion naira in zones. Page 40. Do we really need that? And lastly, human angle story: 10 die in Niger, Ogun, auto crashes. Away from that, we head straight to The Nation, and The Nation is coming with us one. By-election contest hot up in Oyo, Ogun, Edo, Anambra, and a rider there. Candidates in last-minute scramble for votes as campaign ends. A lot here. Top part of the paper, we have Dare takes on Babacho Lawal. Is an opportunist. That's on page 4 of The Nation. And 2027 talks ongoing with Obi, says PDP. We are not for reconciliation. That's on page 4 of The Nation newspaper. And beside it, we have Let's Stand By Ailing Deputy Taraba Governor pleads, and that's on page 4 of the paper as well. Let me quickly flip through and head straight to The Guardian. Guardian is coming with us on federal government to overhaul public finance as bills for more universities risk rejection. That's on page 6 of The Guardian, and so much stories there. But let me go through them if I can, and or perhaps pick one or two stories from there. Reps probe alleged diversion of 1.06 trillion naira COVID-19 recovery fund. That's on page 3 of The Guardian. And Kachuko stakeholders flay Soludo over visit to Tinubu. What is your own? He has been in of governors. He has been friends to Mr. President for over 22 years, and that's on page 8 of the Guardian. And we have this one from INEC. INEC to deploy 2,062 officials, 574 beavers machines for by-election in Ibadan. Remember the Ibadan is by-election to fill the vacant seat of the late Honorable Olaide Akireme, and that's coming up this Saturday. And away from The Guardian, let's head straight to the Nigerian Tribune. LP, SDP, APC, PDP battle INEC over Saturday's by-election, and we have 3 riders there. Commission parties in war of words in Edo. Parties sign peace accord in Oyo. Adamawa, I am not afraid of being redeployed from Edo. That's the REC talking there. And we have SDP, LP fate hangs in balance. We are in court. Abure Labour Party faction is talking there. A lot there. We have FEC places 7-year embargo on new tertiary institutions. And on health, we have over 80% of blindness in Nigerian children preventable, experts says. And I think, let me just stop there and welcome our analyst, Leko Shobowale. Good morning, Leko.
Paz, good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Yes, I'm fine. And you?
Okay. Well, Saturday, by-election coming up. Well, in most of, we have that will happen in Oyo, Ogun, Edo, and Anambra. And in Ibadan, there was this peace accord that was signed. Do you think that will really count? Coupled with the fact of what happened yesterday, having top politicians who converge on the newly commissioned residential area that was immortalized to the late Honorable, that's Olaide Akinremi. Do you think the peace accord will work, or that's a gimmicks for PDP to actually win the by-election to fill the vacant seat of the federal, Ibadan North constituency at the federal level?
Yes, I think the peace accord will work. The peace accord is not a tradition. It was introduced in 2015 by General Salami Abubakar-led Peace and Reconciliation Committee then. So I think it is important that the contestant or the candidate of each party sign the peace accord. And we saw it yesterday. They all signed the peace accord in Ibadan yesterday. And the peace accord is just like a caution that we don't want violence in this election. So every of the candidates, will be able to talk to their supporters. You just go out there and vote. No, there should be no reason for violence. This is just, a House of Representatives by-election. We have only 12 votes in the Ibadan North local government. So for me, I don't think there should be any cause for alarm. As regards violence. Though Ibadan North Federal Constituency is one of the major constituency in Oyo State. It has always been tough. And this one will even be more tougher because considering the major stakeholders. Governor Makinde 2 weeks ago said the PDP in Oyo State would like to prove to the federal government that Oyo State belongs to the PDP. And you should understand that Power Minister Bayo Adelabu, considering his gubernatorial ambition in 2027, we also want to prove to the federal government that no, he is the most highest political appointee from Oyo State, on the platform of APC. So we also want to prove to the federal government that no, APC, Oyo State belongs to APC. And whatever happens on Saturday, will be a pointer or will be an indicator to what will happen in Oyo State in 2027. Understand? Because just like I've said, Adelabu will want to prove that Oyo belongs to APC. You understand? Possibly one way or the other, directly or indirectly, to secure his gubernatorial ambition for 2027. Why Governor Seyi Makinde, being one of the last man standing, in PDP, in the Southwest, we believe that, he's also in charge. He's fully in charge, directly in charge of political affairs in the state. So, Ibadan North Federal Constituency election, is very important, and I'm expecting a very stiff competition, between the APC
and the PDP
PDP. And you never can tell, we have ADC, Femi Desta, I don't know how effective the obedient movements are in Oyo State, but I know that, it is possibly, for now, there's going to be a competition between the APC in Oyo State and the PDP in Oyo State.
All right, since we started with politics, we have this one, 2027 presidency. PDP unveils zoning panel, the spells Jonathan Obi talks, and we have a rider there. PDP eyes new aspirants, and APC mocks opposition, predicts defeat for 2027 candidates. Well, some senior members of the National Working Committee who are also part of the NEC and spoke on condition of anonymity as they are not authorized to comment publicly, questioned why Jonathan, who left the party at a critical time, and Obi, whose defection to the Labour hurt the PDP's and 2023 prospects now to seek return. While others within the NEC welcomed the idea but stressed that the PDP already has capable and qualified members such as Oyo State Governor, we have Engineer Seyi Makinde, and Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed and others who could represent the party in the presidential race. So what is the primary objective of PDP zoning panel, and how will this impact the 2027 presidential election?
But seriously, I don't understand the essence of our PDP, planning to inaugurate a zoning panel. Zoning panel for what?
That's what we've been clamoring for, that we have 6 geopolitical zones, and it has always been roving around two zones.
President Tinubu is currently the president of this country, and is from the south. The zoning is between the south and the north. We just completed 8 years of President late President Muhammadu Buhari, who represented the northern region of the country. We are just into 2 years of a southern president. And, by all expectation, it is an unwritten constitution for all political parties in Nigeria.
Unwritten constitution
unwritten
by
constitution.
who?
That's why I said unwritten constitution.
By who?
By politicians, by political party stakeholders. That 8 years of north, 8 years of south. So when PDP, when they are talking,
when they are talking about, we were interrupted by the military. Are you talking about that constitution?
I'm talking about. We started this
in 1999.
We have Obasanjo 8 years. We have Yar'Adua, Jonathan. Somehow, the stuff was a bit disturbed. But now we are aligned again. We have organized it again. So we just completed 8 years of a northern president. We are going to 8 years of a southern president. What I think PDP should be talking about now, thank God that they said they have capable presidential aspirant like Governor Seyi Makinde. They should not be talking about.
He has not talked about coming out, or maybe he has interest.
Yes, well, he has denied it. But we have it on a very good note that Governor Seyi Makinde is interested in contesting for
very
president.
Good note as an analyst.
On a very good note, we are, of course,
as an analyst.
As an analyst, we interact with politicians. We interact with government,
the allies, allies of governor.
So, from a very reliable source, you understand that it is normal that the person or the presidential aspirant, in order not to disorganize, in order not to cause a kind of issues in the party, of course, Governor Makinde will deny it, even if he's interested in becoming the president of Nigeria. But that is not even the issue. The issue is, for me, I'm expecting PDP to be talking about that. Okay, we have Governor Seyi Makinde as governor of Oyo State. Governor Ademola Adeleke will be seeking its re-election next year. So, as far as Southwest is concerned, going by the status, Governor Seyi Makinde, is, somehow the most qualified, in the Southwest. When you are talking about, being a sitting governor. So, I think the PDP should be talking about who will succeed President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2030. Even if you want to unseat, that is if you want to unseat, or that is if you can unseat President Tinubu. That is if you want to present a southern candidate, presidential candidate. You are talking about Bala Mohammed. Is Bala Mohammed from Southwest? Why can't they allow of course, even if you want to unseat President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, it should be another southern president.
What's the fate of the South? Because they have been talking about being marginalized when you talk about zoning in politics, and that's why we have the likes of the springing up of the what's it called, IPOB, and the other one, ESN, coming up to say, oh, we've been marginalized. Instead, let's just get our own.
We should be talking about the South. It's not even the South. Former President Goodluck Jonathan spent 6 years he is from the south.
But he completed someone else's term.
He completed someone else's time 2 years, and he had another 4 years. So altogether, South had 6 years already. So we should even be talking about.
Is that 6 years enough? Is that 6 years enough to rewrite the history of this country?
See, you know, in the political calculation of Nigeria, there is nothing like South or Southeast. We have the South and the North. In the North, we have the Northeast, just like we have it in the South. We have Northeast, Northwest, North Center. So nobody is talking about North Center. We are talking about the North and the South. So when they now sold it to the South, it is now the cup of tea of political gladiators in the South to determine, are we taking this to South-South? Are we taking this to Southeast? Or are we taking this to Southwest? But what I'm saying is that the PDP should be talking about retaining presidency in the South. And they should not be talking about Bala Mohammed, who is coming from the North, or any other person, any other politician from the northern region of the country. They should be talking about Seyi Makinde, possibly from the South, if they are so serious about sitting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I don't. How will you? Okay, okay. Imagine as an average Nigeria, as an ordinary Nigeria from the Southwest, or even from the South generally, you want to unseat the president that is representing my region. Why can't you give me another alternative? You know, another option. Another fresh wine. You understand? It is not that you now come and tell me, okay, you want to remove President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You now want to put Bala Mohammed from the North. You know, I don't think that is reasonable. Well, let's look at what are the implications of this, the PDP zoning decision for the 2027 presidential election, and how might it affect the party chances of winning? I'm telling you, the way PDP, the way they are, you know, going now, and they are zoning things, you know, because it happens in 2023. You know, just like I've said that, you know, there is no argument about that for politicians anyway, that there is an unwritten constitution that when it goes to the North, it comes back to the South. So now, just 4 years into, just 3 years now, you are talking about zoning, and when you are talking about zoning, it can go to the North, it can go to the South. And don't forget that that's what, you know, that was a major undo of PDP in 2023. That was what caused, you know, you are talking about G5 governments. What happened? The Wiki, the Makinde, and some other things. Otom. What happened? Wiki was clamoring for a southern president. You understand? And he was even talking that, okay, fine. We are just completing 8 years of a northern president. Then why can't we let's have another 8 years of southern president? But Atiku Abubakar, Bukola Saraki, these are for a former national chairman. You know, all of them, you know, I think IU or something. So all of them are saying that no, let it go to anywhere. It doesn't have to be. So if PDP again, they are now working on the path of disrupting the relative peace PDP is enjoying now, because now we can say PDP is calm. You know, there is peace in PDP now. But now when you are not talking about zoning presidency to the North again, or you are talking about Seyi Makinde and Bala Mohammed, if eventually the zoning now go, you know, to the side of Bala Mohammed, who is representing the northern part of the region, do you think Seyi Makinde, as a PDP governor, do you think he will be happy? Do you think Seyi Makinde will work with Bala Mohammed? When the South, you know, whatever you think, you are forced from this region, from the southern part of the country, before you are even a member of the PDP. So Seyi Makinde, just like he protected his interest of being a southern governor 2 years ago, we also do the same thing. So right. I think it is normal for them to let us see out the 8 years of southern president. It goes back to the North. All right, Tinubu on third visit to Brazil in 9 months. What's the purpose of this visit? Yes, you know, they are saying that the president will go to Dubai, have a stopover in Dubai, then go to Japan. Brazil. Yes, I think that he's going for a conference of sorts. So, you know, he's going for a 2 days conference, and after leaving Japan, then he's going to Brazil for an official state visit. So, and I think, you know, I think it is normal. It is, you know, international relation. You know, Tinubu is the #1 marketer of Nigeria. He is the president of Nigeria. So he is the #1.
So talking about this market, how would this visits, how would it impact the trade relations between Nigeria and Brazil?
Yes, when you look at the schedule of the president, you know, as you know, read out yesterday by Bayo Ononunga, you know, he listed it that after the conference, Tinubu will be meeting with various trade groups in Japan, you know, various business groups in Japan. They will meet with Nigerians, you know, Nigerians in Japan. We meet with investors, and I think it's very important because, you know, as an investor, sitting down with the president of the country, and the president is telling me, come to my country. I'm going to ensure adequate security. I'm going to provide a conducive environment. I think it goes a long way in encouraging investors to come into Nigeria. It's, for me, it's a good thing.
That means our economy will grow.
Yes, well, and you know Japan for what Japan is. So I think it's a good.
Before we put a stop on this segment, let us look at the education aspect. We have, after creating many tertiary institutions, federal government places 7-year ban, and outdoors, the federal government trying to address the use of underutilized institutions in our country, because if you look at if you calculate it from now to, you see some institution that does not even that were underutilized, and you see them being created, and this one is invested for this. So now placing this ban, you know, it is a good development.
I think one of the policy of this government that I also appreciate, you know, is that of stoppage of establishment of university. You know, every year we have establishment of university. In Oyo State, for instance, we are now having one at, I think, Okeo, Federal University, I cannot remember now.
Agriculture.
Yes, at Okeo. Now we have, they're talking about Federal University of something, special education in Oyo. They are talking about Federal University of Geomatics in Oyo. We have so many universities. And, you know, I listened to our Minister of Education yesterday, Tunji Alausa, when he was rolling out the percentage, you know, of admissions into some of these universities, some of these polytechnics, some of these colleges.
The court maths.
You understand? He said most of the colleges of education, they recorded, last year they recorded 0 student admission. You know, we now have, so, you know, we are talking about federal universities. Are you not talking about state universities? We have a lot of private universities, and, you know, some of these universities, federal government, you know, is the one funding this university. Aside from the capital project, you talked about, you know, putting in place of governing councils.
Because we have this from Nigeria News, the Tinubu bans creation of new federal private universities for 7 years.
I think it's a good thing. It's perfect. What I'm expecting the federal government to do now is to now look critically at the existing university and
see how they can merge.
Not even match. You know, we may not match. It's not important that we match. But if they are not...
I'm actually looking at it. If you have federal, whatever, Igbora, that is on agriculture, and we have FUNAB, all on agriculture. We have some other schools like that are on agriculture. Can they merge them together to, like, okay, let's merge it together and give us quality education and give us students that can stand, and of course, when you talk about agriculture, they can fit in.
You know, why they can't merge them together is because, you know, all these federal universities, you know, you'll be talking about Federal Character Commission. You are talking about quota. You understand? So it is not that they are just establishing them. There is now Federal University of Agriculture Abeokuta is for Abeokuta. It's located in Abeokuta. We have that of Federal University in Oyo State. We have, so we cannot merge. If you want to merge, okay, you want to merge FUNAB in Abeokuta and that of Oyo State together. So where will now be a centered of, so it cannot be merged, you know. But what the federal government can do is, now that we have this federal university, most of these federal university, when you get there, you know, decayed infrastructure, you know, the lecturers are just, you know, the students, the buildings, you know. So it is now time for federal government to look at the infrastructure in all these federal universities, you know, federal universities that belongs to the federal government. Look at the universities and take good care of them in terms of providing conducive environment, you know, ensuring infrastructural development for the universities and taking care of the welfare of the workers.
All right, thank you so much, Lake Oshobowale, for sharing your thoughts on the headlines from the papers this morning. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
All right, so this is where we will leave it. Coming up next is a big story. Samson Balogun is coming up to take that.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Good morning, Nigeria. This is the big story on Daybreak Live, where we go beyond the headlines to dissect the issues that shape our nation's future. Today, we are confronting a matter at the core of our democracy, broken ballot box, the fight for electoral integrity. From pre-election maneuvers to post-election litigations, the cracks in our process are as glaring as ever. And to help us break it all down, we have in the studio this morning a seasoned public affairs analyst, Plato, a voice known for sharp insight and fearless analysis. I am Samson Balogun, and thank you for tuning in. Free and fair elections are the heartbeat of any democracy. But in Nigeria, that heartbeat has too often been irregular. From the ballot snatching of the past to today's high-tech vote buying. Before elections, we see questionable primaries and flawed voter registration. On election day, logistical failures and intimidation. After elections, the battle shifts to judiciary. INEC, political parties, security agencies, the courts, and citizens, each bears a responsibility. With our guest, Plato, in the studio with me, we will trace the history of electoral malpractice, unpack the challenges faced by all stakeholders, and explore whether reforms can truly restore the people's trust in their ballot. Good morning to you, Plato.
Good morning, Samson. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you here.
It's a pleasure.
There's a lot to talk about this morning.
Sure.
We want to talk about how we can restore faith in the electoral system in the country. And if we want to talk about the electoral system and the failures, we can't just talk about INEC. There are so many things attached to it. After the election, something happened. Before the election, something happened. Even on election day, something must have happened. All these culminated in the malfeasance we currently see in the electoral scene in Nigeria. How did we get here?
Well, the truth is, as long as human nature keeps to set in every facet of life, you would always see the attempt by one party or one side to try to outmaneuver the other or maneuver the other if the other party is indolent. And what we have seen is that in our own space where the quest to be in government, and see, it's not just peculiar to Nigeria. In 2000, in the election between Al Gore and George Bush Jr., there were clear cases of malfeasance, electoral malfeasance, that were present. However, Al Gore considered to George Bush Jr. all for the sake of the country. Now, something similar to that also played out in 2018 in the U.S. 2018 in the U.S. in the build-up to the election between that brought the return of Donald Trump. Towards the second term of Donald Trump. And we saw how that election also threw up a lot of electoral malfeasance and all that. So it's not peculiar to Nigeria. The truth is, human nature would always set in. And by human nature, there is always this tendency. And that takes me to, the whole idea of the state of nature by, Thomas Hobbes, where he said that in the state of nature, okay, there were no rules. The only rule was the rule of self-preservation, which is that I seek to do all I can to ensure that my interest is protected. You seek to do all you can to ensure your interest is protected. Now, there would always be a point where there will be conflict, and that is where life becomes short, brutish, and nasty. So that human nature, that instinct, that animal instinct in every human will always keep setting in. And as it keeps setting in, the duty of the state, therefore, is to regulate the human nature. You see, every human has a tendency towards, crime. Every human has a tendency towards cheating the other person. But the state will stand in as a rail guard, preventing such from happening. But where the state now fails, okay, in preventing that from happening, we will see what we are seeing in Nigeria as well as other developing countries.
All right. Nigeria has had a long history of electoral malfeasance, from ballot stuffing back in the days. Before it was snatching, later it became stuffing. People will thumbprint and mass and then put it in the ballot. And then when they count, they eventually win. And then it came from, after stuffing, to vote buying in recent elections, where we now see people selling their vote and people are buying it, which means automatically after you have, sold your vote, you do not expect anything from such candidates. And then, in your view, what are the root causes to have allowed these practices to persist?
First, let me make this clear that rigging is almost difficult where a political party does not have a strong sway. And I'll give you an example. I still recall vividly in the June 12, 1993 election, my uncle happened to be an SDP agent, and it was option A4. So you queue behind, your candidate or the party of the candidate, and then the candidate, and then the agent of your party counts. Now, this was what I saw, and it got me surprised. you know, as a secondary school student, you are wondering, how did he come? So the man was counting 1, 2, 3, and then he got to 78, I think, and the next number his head was 197.
Wow.
And the NRC agent looked the other way. So, in my infantile mind, I was wondering, I'm sure I did not lose, you know, miss classes in mathematics, so I should still get
because
my...
back then, if you are counting, people are counting with
my
you.
numeracy right. So, from 78 to 197, and everyone kept mute, including the NRC agent, and, you know, they counted. And, of course, Abiola was declared, you know,
was
winner.
in the know.
Yes, you know, the winner. And then I walked up to him and he said, do you think the NRC agent that, you know, turned the other way does not want our candidate to win? Now, what am I bringing out of this? The long and short of it is, you see, electoral malpractices would always come in where politicians are keen on getting there. That's one. Two is the place of the level playing ground, okay? And if you look at it really, let's take our minds back to, you know, what happened pre-independence. In the build-up to the 1959 election, we saw the, you know, the heated nature of politics. We saw how we developed our political parties along tribal lines, save for NCNC, which was started by Bad Macaulay and, Egati Shingo, who eventually went back to the Gambia. But then, we saw how heated. We saw how the AG, which was a production of, you know, Egbe Omodudua. We saw the NPC, which was a production of, you know, the Arewa group. We saw NCNC, which also became like a flagship for the, you know, the eastern region. And it was heated because now it was a question of my own person has to be there, my own people. And that was what played out. When NCNC and AG could not have majority seats in the Western House of Assembly, AG pushed, you know, the idea to IPP, which was the Ibadan People's Party, led by, you know, the then Adelabu, that, see, would you allow someone from the East to come and control the Western region? Don't you think that that's an attempt at, you know, overrunning all of us? And that was how IPP formed a coalition with AG to form the government of the Western region. And we saw that play out several times. In fact, in the build-up of, you know, towards the 1953-1954 election, you know, general election and, of course, regional election, we also saw how, because of the heated issue between Akintola and Awolowo, everywhere those who were loyal to Awolowo went to, they were painting Akintola as being, you know, a slave of the North. Akintola, too, painted AG as working in cahoots with the North. So, you know, this whole idea of our own, so they already understood the temperaments and the temperature of those they are dealing with, and they simply sell that to them. Now, why do we keep having this? I've said this, number one, that because of human nature. Two, our politicians all just want to get to power. And if you look up to the Second Republic, it was also the same thing. The Third Republic, it was the same thing. The Fourth Republic that we are in, unfortunately, is still the same thing. Now, what has the system been doing to nip this in the bud? A system that is seen not to be fair enough should not expect fairness from those who participate in the game. Now, when the system is seen as working in, you know, in cahoot with a select politician, we saw what happened in the 1998 election. We saw how it was quite obvious that, you know, the military administration was more, you know, more or less in cahoot with, you know, Obasanjo and, of course, the PDP. We saw how, even when Obasanjo was living in 2007, you know, he conducted the worst election ever in the history of this country, even as acknowledged by the winner of that election, the late, you know, Musa Yar'Adua. And the goal, you know, the story goes on and on. So when the state is seen as being in cahoot, there will be a problem. Now, unfortunately, when institutions are also saddled with that responsibility, okay, are also seen as being in cahoot with politicians, it will be the same thing. We saw how in the days of FEDECO, from the First Republic up to the Second Republic, was seen as being in cahoot with, in bed with select politicians from a certain region. We saw how INEC, under our own space, has also been, you know, the same. But the difference is, compare these two faces with the era of NEC under the late Professor Humphrey Nwosu. Now, there was a level playing ground. And when fairness is not in the fray, you would expect people to be on the defensive. And when they're on the defensive, you will see situations as this, where everyone feels like, okay, I just need to do something, you know, to ensure that I get power. Unfortunately, the eventual result will be that it will not bode well for the state, because it means that you're going to allow the worst of us to rule the best of us. Now, that is the unfortunate part of it. I think it was in this book, how democracies, die, that the author was talking about the place of, institutions. These institutions are meant to be rail guards, to prevent the worst of us from coming into power. But when these institutions are meant to be the rail guard are seen as being in bed, with certain politicians, then you would always expect others to also look for a way to outmaneuver them.
Now let's break this down. As I said earlier, there are processes build up to an election, and even after the election, there are still other processes that plays out. Now let's take a look at the issue of candidates, selection of candidates, internal democracy within political parties, to the point where elections are conducted, which we are still going to get to. Now, do you think internal democracy within political parties is one of the major undoings of the electoral system we have in Nigeria as we speak?
Definitely. Let's trace the
case study, Ibadan North, by election.
Now, let's trace the origin, and it's just unfortunate. As much as we must give, the flowers to our founding fathers, the Awolowo, the Azikiwe, the Ahmadu Bello and others, we must also, put the blame at their feet for all that they've done. You see, this whole idea of imposition of candidate don't start now. And I just laugh when most of us, try to, say all of this. It did not start now. For instance, in Western region, it was obvious, it was seen how Awolowo imposed, candidates. Now, although it was not with the kind of brigandage and, audaciousness that we have now, but there were imposition of candidates. Internal democracy was not followed. The reason, what's it called? The reason UPN lost in Oyo State, lost in Ondo State, were because of these internal wranglings. In Oyo State, for instance, House of Assembly members who were critical of the late Bola Ige were not allowed to return, while others who were supporting Bola Ige were given a free roll. And why? When people challenged, Babawolowo over this, well, it was because the governors were required to drop certain funds, for the funding of the election in 1983. So apparently, he was handicapped to caution them. So we saw huge defections from the UPN to the NPN. We saw it also in Ondo State. And now Omoboriwo was able to defeat Ajasin. The case of Lagos and Ogun was different because, they were able to manage that. Same with Bende State. In Kwara State as well, the NPN lost the seat to UPN because of these internal wranglings. So it's not a new thing that, you have situations where we have imposition of candidates. And the implication is that, now don't forget, every candidate would have his supporters. And when the candidate's supporters feel that their candidate was not given a level playing ground, you must expect that the candidate and his supporters will be aggrieved. And when they are aggrieved, they will do anti-party. I'll give you another example. In 1993, in the build-up of the election for the Third Republic in Lagos State, within the SDP, there were these two factions called the Progress and Consa. It was between, Agbala Jobi and Sarumi. And between the SDP, and it was heated. Everywhere they get to, there was almost, chaos. And of course, the then Lagos State military administrator said that the best was to disqualify the two of them. And then they picked Yomi Edu. And Yomi Edu was seen as being, like a stooge or, an extenuation of one of the camps, particularly the concert camp, and what the progress camp, which we now call progressive, did, they on election day. So when we talk about anti-party, it's not today. On election day, they campaigned. In fact, I was witness to during the governorship election where I saw candidates or members of the SDP campaigning vigorously for Michael Otedola. Yes, Michael Otedola of the NRC. And that was why in the whole of the South, Lagos was the only place NRC had, won election for governorship. So when such is the situation, when internal democracy is not allowed, and by internal democracy, see, there are two ways to it. There is the open primary, which is called direct primary. Every member of the party, every card-carrying member of the party, queue behind their candidate of choice. Now that's the most ideal. But there's also the indirect primary. Unfortunately, because we have now decided to adopt the indirect primary, we have opened the window for manipulations. So only those who are escorts of the party
get to vote.
Okay, become delegates in the election. Now let me give you an example of what is done. So on an unusual primary day, each candidate will camp his own delegates in their hotel, give them money, and when they get to the voting center for primaries, you see a situation where a candidate who has a bigger fund will then come with money. Okay, how much is your candidate giving you? Okay, he's giving us 50,000. I'll give you 100,000. And you will be surprised at how these delegates will move away from switch. Yes, because you have made room for it's easy to buy a crop of persons. Now, these crop of persons do not also adequately represent the interests of all. So where the majority of party members now feel that, oh no, these delegates, because again, look at what happened in Oyo State in 2023 with the Jagba principle. A candidate made sure that he swept all the delegates in the party. And so when election time, when primary time for primaries came, he was able to install his men. And what happened? Within his own party, people campaigned against him. So when you don't promote internal democracy, make sure that the system is fair and seen to be fair. There are two different things. When you are fair and you're not seen to be fair, there will be a problem. But you must make sure that you are fair, the system is fair, and seen to be fair and open to all. The system through which we elect candidates for parties at the moment is wrought with so much irregularities. So it's all about who can scheme the other person out. So it's all about what quality the candidate is bringing. This is now the danger of it. So you don't see our parties, our candidates subjected to even internal scrutiny by the party. You see that they don't have an idea. It's all about, the noise, baba, that the women will sing for them, or okay, I'm able to donate this amount. So if you don't have money, you cannot even get the party ticket, regardless of how intelligent you are or how brilliant your ideas are.
I was speaking to a candidate who intends to be a governor come 2027. He went to a particular local government, gave them 500,000. Another candidate came there and gave them 13 million naira. Who's going to win in that local government?
Definitely, they will never even remember the guy that gave them 500,000. The unfortunate thing about the populace is, and maybe we'll come to that, the place of impoverishment. I told someone, I said, if you want to win an election in Nigeria, okay, your business is not with the poor. I tell you, because the poor would always pander to whoever gave them the last money. Yeah, so if you gave them 5,000 naira last week, and somebody is giving them 2,000 naira now, that 5,000 naira has finished. The 2,000 naira is what is serving. So they will not remember the days of yore. And this is where the danger, in our democracy comes in. So we need to look beyond. So our parties have failed. In our democracy, the authors were talking about the role of the political parties as railguards. When political parties have also failed, why would anyone want to contest? And you are telling them for governorship, they would have to, the ticket, the form is 500 million or is 200 million. So you expect that someone who paid 200 million for a form Not
okay?
to steal when it becomes governor.
You think he will not steal when he gets there? Or you expect that, if the person gets there and, even political party members would expect him. Well, a governor in Nigeria most times is the governor of his political party.
He's automatically the leader.
Yes, he's the governor of his political party. He has to do things for members of his political party first. The people come next. So if he's giving out contract, he has to give it to members of his political party. And most times, these members of his political parties are political merchants. So they get the contract, they don't do them. Mr. Governor cannot do anything because he will be exposing his own political party. So these are the issues. So that measure, that internal democracy is almost not there. The annoying part of it is you even see it in what I would call even mushroom parties.
It is the same everywhere.
And I think that is where we now begin to we need to think of tinkering with the idea of independent candidacy.
Now, before we get to independent candidacy, we'll still speak about INEC and some modalities that has to come on board for us to have a more trustworthy electoral process. But then, are there loopholes or lacunas in what we currently have as our voter registration process?
Definitely. There are loopholes. Thank God that we are trying to even, wrap up and, of course, mop up our registration process in Nigeria. That Nigeria is a country where data is almost non-existent. And back in the day, you see a person who can register in 10 different places. Okay? Now, even now, how do we even separate Nigerians from non-Nigerians? If I'm from Benin Republic, for instance, and I've not even I've not naturalized myself, I can simply go to any of the local governments and register for NIN. I'll get a BVN. Okay? Just make sure that your name does not look foreign. I'll get a BVN. So, how many Nigerians have Nigerian citizenship certificates? These are issues. So, if I'm a Beninois and my wife put to bed in a Nigerian hospital, a government hospital, my wife will be issued, my child will be issued a certificate, a birth certificate, which I can present for citizenship. Of course, there is citizenship by birth. All right. So there are a lot of issues that we need to deal with. There are a lot of lacunas within our registration system that we must fix as a matter of urgency. Now, a system also that makes it difficult for us to track where a candidate is voting and the time the candidate is voting. There is no need why, there is no reason. Why do we have a barcode at the back of our registration cards, of our voters card? Why do I have to wait for ages before I get my, INEC voters card? Back in the day when you want to apply for an, automated teller machine card in Nigeria, ATM card, you have to wait for Kingdom Years. Yeah. But now you can walk into your bank and you get the one almost immediately to be ready. So we need to move up. We should be able to have our cards early enough.
The slow pace in the voter registration, is it a deliberate attempt in a way that the electoral process will be decimated one way?
I may not call it, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist. So I do not want to see it as a deliberate attempt. However, it is just the failure of our system. Okay, it's the failure of our system.
If the banking system could achieve it, how much more of the federal
government? It's not the only thing. We still see that even in government parasata, you see people carrying papers all around. Okay, as our children want to register for JAMB and WAEC, and then they have to go through as if you can't do biometrics in your house. I can do biometrics if I want to. I can do my biometrics. Do I need to go to one of your accredited centers?
As long as you have a phone. It can be done.
So you have a lot of phones and a lot of
biometrics enabled.
Phones have their biometrics enabled. So why can't I do my biometrics on my phone? Why can't I register? Some of us said that one would expect, maybe because we've seen the bad days of this country. There was a time in this country, if I was sharing, I still share with my kids, that there was a time in this country that when we want to go and get JAMB form, we wake up from Yanapaja in Lagos as early as 4:30 or 4 a.m. And then by the time we get to Ikoyi, which is where the JAMB center is, where everybody will get the JAMB center, we'll get there maybe around 5:36. And by that time, you already have over 1,000 people on the queue. And you can go there 2 days
if you are not streetwise, okay, if you are not streetwise, you can go there 3 days and not even get a form.
Able to do anything.
The same process is what you use to get your form. The same process you use to get your center. The same process is what you use to check your results. So we need to move up. The world is no longer in 2001. The world is moving up. So we need to look at how we can, wrap up all this. Now, our registration process is too cumbersome. So I want to register. You tell me to go and queue. So I get there. Then one INEC official and some louds see it as an avenue to rip me off. So they tell me my number is number 189. And I have work to do. And you think I want to stay? So you are technically disenfranchising people. We don't understand the value of time. They know the value of time in this country. So we don't know what it means to waste people's time. So you think I have a serious work to do. I'll not sit down because I am a patriotic Nigerian. Particularly with the quality of governance you have in this country. I'll sit down with number 189 or 1878. And then one person comes and say, sir, okay, can I pay something? I'll bring you in. Okay. Some of us are lucky because with our ID cards you can enter easily. But what happens to those who cannot enter? Now, why should we even be able to enter easily? It brings us to the anyhowness that we have in this country. Why shouldn't I follow the same process? The protocol. All right. So these are the issues. So until we deal with some of these things, and then when we now talk about that, we now brings us to even how our elections are conducted. We have the beavers in the last. I've been monitoring election for almost a decade now, and in the last election, I was happy that the beavers was going to help out. But what happened? Some of us who were observers had to be turning our Wi-Fi on, our hotspot on, for INEC officials
to transmit
results. Do you understand the danger? As a cyber security person, you simply know that if I turn my hotspot on for you and you connect, I can access your back end. I can hack into your back end. However encrypted it may be, I can hack into your back end. So we don't even understand the danger in that. We just feel that, INEC official could not upload results. Some were even uploading their own pictures. So we check, we should make, even if our system is not totally foolproof, but at least
should make
to a large extent. So these are the issues. Now we need to move up with technology. And we should not be all mouths and trousers that we, most times we are when it comes to issues like this. We should be able to look at how we can step up the game. Step up the game in dealing with these issues. Now, how do we transmit results? Why should I vote and then I have to wait for 2 days? You have to carry my result from, the polling unit to a collation center and then a rack, and then from that rack we go to local government, and from there you feel that the results will not be missing.
Plateau, let's talk about electoral violence. These are some of the things we do face when we talk about electoral malfeasance in the country. Now, on election day, sometimes people complain that they are being disenfranchised. Some are beaten and sent away from the polling units just because they have a different opinion. They wanted to vote for a different candidate, but some would not let that happen. That is one. Two, some candidates are just relaxed. They know that they can bully their way into winning the election, but then they know they actually did not win. But of course, they are sure that no matter how well you are, whatever kind of money you have, when you get to court, they are definitely going to win, regardless of whatever happens. Now, these are challenges constantly being faced by people who we are not too sure probably have good intentions for the people, but they are being robbed out of office. On every election, these things happen.
Definitely, but I dare tell you that electoral violence in this country has reduced. If you consider it, pari passu what we used to have in the early days or early years of the Fourth Republic, and even compared to the Third Republic or the Second Republic and the First Republic, electoral violence has reduced.
We used to have more than one secretariat in Ibadan.
Yes, because now the reason is simple. It's not because we are now better as a people. It's simply because vote buying is the order of the day. Why do I need to waste my time, you know, engaging in electoral violence when gathering thugs? When I can simply buy votes, is about you know, the Boko Sibe. So violence has reduced, but then managing electoral violence in election is as a result of the failure of our institutions. Now, there is what we call in electoral vocabulary. There's what we call the concentric spot of election. That is the place of election. Now, the thugs will not. They don't have a due ex machina. They, you know, the hand of God, and, you know, just disappear to the place of election. They are coming from somewhere. So what happened to managing the security? And that's why if you also look at the logic of what the Nigerian police does, you see that people who man the polling units do not bear arms.
Right. Because
it's a logic. It is believed that those who bear arms should be at the barricades preventing movements. So how did these criminals pass through to get to the concentric spot of election? So if there is a problem, it means that we need to do much more. It means that some persons are likely or possibly complicit, you know, in all of this. Maybe having, you know, sold their soul out to politicians. Because now it is going to be difficult for just one person to get to a polling unit and begin to unleash terror. If there is just one person, you can be sure that it's a notorious person whom one would have expected should have been picked up before now.
Before then.
Okay, I'll give you an example. In the governorship election in Ogun State, you know, in 2023, there was this character around, you know, Berger, that there were informations around him, about him already, you know, for Adodo Ota. And one would expect that the police would have picked up this character, but it was not picked up. Okay, so when it is election day, we will now begin to complain that, oh, he's unleashing violence. And what do you expect? So we're not doing so much. We know the red spots. See, I dare tell you that the Nigerian police is very effective if they want to be effective.
Only if they want to.
Okay? Nigerian security apparatus is very effective if they want to. At least to a large extent, I've been understanding security, you know, architecture in this country for over a decade, and I understand what I'm saying.
So what's the problem?
Okay.
Is there an issue of political influence?
Definitely, there is. No, I would not even say it's political influence. I would rather talk about political will. Political will. If the IG is appointed by the president, the DSS Director General is appointed by the president. The NIA Director is appointed by the president. The Chief of Army Staff by the president. The Chief of Naval Staff by the president. The Chief of Air Staff by the president. The CDS by the president. What do you expect? The Commandant of NSCDC. Commandant of Nigerian prisons. Commandant of, you know, so you would expect them to pay their loyalty. Look at what is happening with the police. The IG is meant to have retired. A law was amended, abracadabra, okay, just to give room, extend his tenure beyond the second term of the president, beyond, you know, when the president would be seeking re-election. And you expect such a man not to be loyal to the president? They play my fans. That's the reality. So we need to do so much more. Look at how we can marshal and police those areas. Now, you see, it is not that people will not want to engage in electoral violence, but if we are able to marshal all that spot, and the implication is that, and I also feel that this electoral violence has become a tool, okay, to make the electorate weary. People will say, oh, I don't want to go and vote because I don't want anybody to unleash violence on me. That's to tell you of, you know, the terrible situation of things. So because of that, people get withdrawn. You know, in recent times, there have been researches on the level of political apathy in Nigeria. It will shock you that in the last 20 years, the percentage of voters in election is less than 50% of registered voters. That speaks to you about, you know, the terrible state of things. The percentage of voters on election day is less than 40%. I think the highest we've had is 38%.
Now, very quickly, Plato, I want you to talk on this. Let's talk about the role of the judicial arm of government in all that is happening in the country, especially when we talk about elections. In the year 2020, there's a brief recap of the court judgment that made Hope Uzodinma of the All Progressives Congress, APC, governor of Imo State, even though he was initially recorded as finishing fourth in the March 2019 governorship election. INEC declared the winner in 2019, that was Emeka Ihedioha of the People's Democratic Party. And the court's ruling, the Supreme Court held that INEC had unlawfully excluded results from 388 polling units, which, once added, gave Uzodinma the highest number of valid votes. Reasoning, the court said the excluded votes were valid and should be counted, and once they were included, Uzodinma surpassed Ihedioha in the total votes. Now, someone who came fourth eventually was declared winner. What is the role, in 1 minute, what is the role of the judicial arm of government when we talk about electoral malfeasance in the country?
Well, let me say this, because I think, again, because a lot of our people do not understand how the law operates, they often think that the law is an ass. You know, that's a common saying. You need to understand how the law operates before you can begin to, you know, run down the judiciary. In the case of Hope Uzodinma, there's a standard principle in law that the court is not Father Christmas. It simply grants your prayers. Now, what the court simply did in that case was there were prayers. Who validates a result? It is the polling officer, not the RO. So if anybody will cancel results, it is the duty of the polling officer. Now, these were some of the issues that came up in that. But we saw a situation where the polling officer, the polling unit officer, validated the results, yet they were exempted. And many times too, and I always say this, if you want to lose an election petition in Nigeria, leave the whole defense to INEC. I bet you are going to lose. Because INEC most times does not call in a strong defense. They don't call in strong witnesses.
They don't have the time.
So,
or they do not care.
If you look at a lot of the cases we have seen in this country that has gone through the judiciary and they've been upturned or sustained, most times you see the failure of INEC. So INEC only plays a passive role in the whole adjudication process, acting as if, well, we have conducted the election, you parties. So don't wait for INEC. Unless you call in strong witnesses. But only if you have been declared winner. If you don't call in strong witnesses, you will lose. So most times people don't understand these things. They just say, oh, the election has been conducted. Oh, the court, how can the court say that this person is the winner? But we know it's not the winner. Well, you may know.
But the court does not work on that.
The court does not work on conjectures. In fact, since it's a civil matter, it must be on the measure of probability. So you must be able to present a stronger probability that the case is in your, the case is in your favor. Not that you sit down and then, come on, equity will favor the vigilant, not the indolent. So most times it's because we don't understand this thing, and it has brought our, our courts to disrepute. Look at the example of, in 2019 when the PDP initiated an election, petition against Buhari, and then one of their grounds was there was a server, and it turned out that the person who said he, doing the server was actually a rookie, and you want the court to admit, admit that as a strong evidence. So these are some of the issues, really. We
really have to go. But of course, your insights into what is happening in the country, especially when we talk about electoral malfeasance, has really been great this morning. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I would hope that you'll be here next time we'll call you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Today's conversation with Plato has made one thing clear. Safeguarding the ballot box is not a task for one institution, but a collective responsibility. The broken ballot box can be fixed, but only if we refuse to normalize malpractice and hold every player accountable, from the polling unit to the highest officer in the land. As Plato has reminded us, democracy is only as strong as the integrity of its election. This has been the big story on Daybreak Live. I'm Samson Balogo saying, let's protect the vote. Let's protect the future. Thank you. We'll be back.
live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live like never before? Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Welcome back from that short break. The show is still Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television. Do well to link up with us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast. And on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, drop your comments, of course, watch us live there. You can also watch us live on our website, www.dominion.org.ng, dominion.org.ng. Now, it's time for Trend Watch. And of course, I still have with me in the studio, Pat Aito, with whom we'll be making sense of this trending story.
Yeah.
Now, media personality Toke Makinwa has, set a social media buzz after revealing she's expecting her first child. With her Instagram post attracting over 40,000 comments within just 2 hours. I mean, well, it's a very big news from Toke Makinwa, very interesting one. Judging by the fact that she's been around for a long time, with her age and then what she does, people have been expecting something like that from her for a long time. And now she's saying, look, at 40. I'm having my first child. I mean, isn't that interesting?
And she went further to say that the biggest project of my life, the highest calling, 2025, what's a difference a year, that was my prophetic declaration, blah, 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 that. And she went further to say, listen, God is never late. God can be trusted. My heel pain will break someone else's chain, and that's when you put us on air to shine your lights.
I mean, that really interesting, actually.
So it's a call, or it's a word of encouragement to some people, others, because some people just believe, and this word is evolving. What I mean by that when you are 40, they will tell you, oh, you can't get pregnant again, you are getting to your menopause. But now, something is quite different now. You see somebody at the age of 45 giving birth or having our first child. So the world is evolving, coupled with the fact that technology is just around the corner, helping us to reshape our world to be a better person.
And of course, the comments, there are comments there.
But there's one comment that got me, well, not angry, but I just feel like even if it's surrogacy, it's still... Because that one is why do I feel it's artificial? And that's a Shem's trend, saying that why do I feel it's artificial and low-key surrogates? But however that I am feeling, congratulations to her.
I mean, people really need to set boundaries. They really need to know where they stop, especially when it comes to bullying online. I don't know what you stand to gain by dropping these comments, but what I do know is that this should not get to Toke Makinwa, regardless if it is surrogacy, if he's carrying the baby by herself, whatever way it is, even if it is adoption, as long as she's having a child, I think that's all that matters. The joy should not be dampened by whatever it is anyone has to say about it.
But I think Tony Abraham replied that, but that I will not go go through that. Well, Tony Abraham said, yes, Tokia with MOG love. Yeah. And Biola Bayo Wan is saying, congratulations, Tokia. May your day, may your joy last forever in Jesus' name. I'm so happy for you. Yes.
I mean, really interesting. I mean, there are so many celebrities in our comment section saying, look, we're happy for you. That at least we know that you are becoming a mother, and that's the joy of every woman. Yeah. All right, thank you for being a part of the show so far. It has been a wonderful session on Daybreak Live. We do hope that you join us again tomorrow for another interesting edition from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on this dial. So before I go, I say champions are not those who actually won in the stadium. They are those who prepared even before they got to the stadium. Samson Balogun is my name. Until tomorrow, keep being good, keep being safe out there. Bye for now.
All right, join us tomorrow for Daybreak Extra. You know, it's trio of us. And of course, we say thank you so much for being part of the show this morning. My name is Pat Aido. Have a wonderful day.